So it's another Tiger Sports Saturday, and with me today is special guest for our weekly fishing report, Mr. Dylan Thompson with Fishing with Dylan. How you doing today there, Dylan?
I'm good, Dave. It's good to be back. How are you?
You know, it's getting cold out there, which is good for the fishermen, good for the fisher people, I should say, good for those lakes. And I know after last week, we kind of knew this week would be a little rough on the ice, and I know we're going to talk about that and a few other things, but. Once again, as much as people don't like the cold, this is what we need for those lakes to make sure we have good ice fishing.
This is definitely going to help the ice out, and I have to reinforce ice safety, right? Joyce Gentleman actually passed on Clear Lake last weekend. It was Saturday afternoon or Sunday morning. I don't remember exactly, but it's imperative after this warm weather that we are using an abundance of caution. So I just want to say that, and our hearts go out to that guy's family. Definitely a bad deal.
One thing too, especially when we talk about ice safety, is you can always go to the Freeborn County Sheriff's Office Facebook, and they'll sometimes have different updates on there as well. So if they say that they don't want you on the ice, don't go on the ice.
That's yes, absolutely. If they say don't go, don't go. But just be cautious when you're going out. These cold temps should help. It'll take a couple days to really firm everything back up, but then we should be in business. But that doesn't mean don't be careful, right? I kind of touched last week on looking into some tournament info. There wasn't a lot of local live stuff going on. So if you're looking to get into some ice fishing tournaments, I recommend checking out the Fish Donkey app. That's an app that the Albertley anglers use, and you can fish in tournaments nationwide against anglers from all over the rest of the U.S. It's a pretty cool deal. Some have entry fees, some don't, but if you're interested in checking it out, that's a great app to do that with. And then the Brainerd JC's tournament, I think we mentioned that last week. That's on February 1st on Hole in the Day Bay up in Brainerd. So if you want to check that out, they got a website and a Facebook page. Also, Brainerd JC's Ice Extravaganza. Beyond that, as far as local reports, I was able to find the maps of the rock piles that the watershed installed in Fountain. So I'll post those on my Facebook after our chat here, and people can look that up. Some people I know that know the rock piles are there are finding some fish there, and when we talked about how the lake had changed last week, this is one of those factors. They've never had structure like this in the water, so they're going to be around that. So.
Yeah, and that's one thing. I just even talking to a lot of other local fishermen around the area. They're like, there's no structure in the lake. Once again, this past year, the Shallow Rock Watershed District contracted a company that's what they do. They come in and they bring in rock and all this other filler, basically, to give us structure. So, of course, we know that's where fish like to hide. They like to spawn. A lot of different things that they'll do with that structure.
That's exactly right, Dave. So those maps are on the Albertley Shell Rock River Watershed District's Facebook page, and I will post them on mine and Power 96's as well, so you'll have a chance to check those out. And as far as my fish tip of the week, that's going to be it. Try to go find those rock piles and explore around those. The fish are going to be holding to that stuff, so hopefully that works out for you. And then as far as ice conditions, we were probably pretty close to 10 before the warm weather. We've backed off a couple inches, 7.5 to 9 is what I've been hearing. And that should only get better now over the next 4 or 5 week, 10 days. And then it should stay pretty consistent from there.
And how long does it, with the temperatures we're getting now, what do they normally say? You get, it's how thick per hour of cold?
An hour, I don't know if I'll go to that measurement.
Maybe not an hour, but yeah.
At 0 degrees, you'll make an inch overnight.
Inch overnight, okay. And that's one thing that people always, I know my wife's one of them too, if we're out in the ice house and she hears cracking, that's a good thing.
Yes, it will definitely give you an uneasy feeling. But no, that is ice growing, especially this time of year. So have that be a reassurance to you and not anything that makes you nervous or scared. I was sitting in a spear house once, and a crack came right between my legs, basically, and I jumped out of there so fast.
Now, let's talk. Are you a spear fisherman at all?
Occasionally.
Okay. And I know one thing, Pickerel Lake has been known to be a good spear fishing lake.
Yeah, clear water, shallow, dark bottom. I mean, it has all the recipes for spearing. So get out there, find a hole adjacent to a piece of structure, and cut your hole.
Yeah. So what have you been hearing as far as what people are maybe catching fish on this week?
Same kind of jig and a minnow, jig and a waxy thing. Some guys are still getting the jigging spoons going. And same kind of area, a lot of guys are still using that area east of the Hatch Bridge there. And then the couple people that know where they are, the rock piles are producing a few fish. So
now, what have you been hearing lately about near the cemetery? That was always a hot spot for a while. Heard it kind of died down, but what have you been hearing on that area?
You mean out by Pioneer Park?
I'm not quite sure. I just know by the cemetery.
Okay.
Almost kind of where that channel kind of comes through.
Yeah, where the Bancroft Bay access dumps out. I would definitely check it, but that's another area where you need to be careful with the ice because there is some current moving through there. But current holds fish, so be careful. But yeah, go check it out. There's a little hole back there, and with the current passing through, that's an area that fish will definitely set up.
And I know the channel itself been open here now the last few days. So we haven't seen the last few years of the big town basically out on that ice. What are you hearing that's happening out on Albert Lee?
So I don't know how they're staying hidden, but I know of at least one or two guys that were out there and did catch a couple walleyes. I think it would be cool to get the carnival back on the channel. That was always fun. But yeah, I think it's just a matter of people spending some time out there again.
Yeah, and I know as we continue on through the next few weeks, of course, Big Freeze will be coming out, and normally there's always a fishing tournament during that time too. Haven't heard if they're going to try to do it. So I'm probably going to depend on how the ice is.
Yeah, that'll be a big factor because when you get that many people in a small area, that's when the ice strength is really a factor. So I will try to look that up for next week and see if I can't get a hold of somebody at the CVB or what's the other thing? Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, the CVB or the Chamber of Commerce, yep.
I'll see if I can track somebody down at the CVB or the Chamber of Commerce to confirm or deny whether that tournament's going to go on. And I'll have that info for next week.
Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about you being our new pro. We'll just say that you're pro. What have you been all doing here the last couple of weeks as far as fishing wise?
So last week I went out with a buddy for just a couple hours, and that was kind of an ice check mission. We got a few sunnies and a couple crappies. Again, that was an evening hour in that Hatch Bridge area, and I'll kind of follow that shoreline on the north side of the Hatch Bridge toward the old beach. And that little run has worked for me in the past, sometimes not right in the middle of it, but there's that sand transition up by the old beach. That's something you always want to check. Any transition can potentially hold fish. So that's what I did last week. And then this coming weekend, I'm headed to Wisconsin Dells to a National Professional Anglers Association conference so I can get all the inside scoops on the new stuff going on and learn some new stuff about my business.
Well, that's good. And so, yeah, I know we're excited to have you here doing this, especially in a Tiger Sports Saturday. And like I said, we have a lot of those the fisher people, the outdoor people, and some of them, like I said, are scared. I mean, I'm one of them too. I don't like to get on a thin piece of ice. But yeah, like I said, hopefully here in the next couple of weeks, we'll be getting maybe more closer to that foot plus, maybe even a little thicker. But yeah, still don't be driving your vehicles out there as of right now.
No, please don't. Not yet.
Even a small...
even your Honda Civic's not going to be in good shape out there.
Yeah, as far as, if you're going to be pulling stuff, use your four-wheeler if you have that. Otherwise, just if you got an old clam, just a fold over or whatever. That's what we're really seeing out there a lot of right now.
Portables are great, and in our particular area, there is road access almost anywhere you're going to try to be, so it's not like you have to pull the thing 4 miles across the lake, right?
Yeah, like when you get over out west a little bit, like Hall and Bud, where it's a long walk sometimes.
Yeah, you can make quite a tranche out there to get your setup put together. Out here, everything's basically right off the road, so it's not a huge pain in the neck. So, yeah, take your portable. Wait a week or two for the ice castles and the things of that nature.
Anything else you would really want the listeners to know of this week?
No, like you, I'm pumped for the segment. Next week, I'm excited to have some more. I'll talk a little bit about what I learned at my conference, and hopefully I can start adding some other outdoor-related stuff. The deer are going to start dropping their antlers soon, things like that we can start talking about. Yeah, I'm pumped for the segment. Happy to be here.
That's one thing. A lot of people do go out looking for sheds. I didn't think it was that big of a deal, but I have a lot of friends that go out hunting for them. So it's a pretty cool thing. So excited to hear more about that, as well as other things. I know you said you're a big turkey hunter. So as we get back into that season, maybe you'll have a few tips with getting the turkeys and things like that. So, but otherwise, yeah, this has been a Fishing with Dylan segment here with Dylan Thompson on the Tiger Sports Saturday. Dylan, thank you for swinging in. Enjoy your conference this weekend, and hopefully you'll learn some more good tips to help the local fishermen here in Freeborn County.
That's the goal. Thanks, Dave.
Yep, thank you. You're listening to Tiger Sports Saturday here on Power 96.